Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
Yep.
Firstly, we'd like to say thank you very much. We are so grateful that you have taken time out of your lives to be here tonight. We'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you. The New Zealand Public Party, your voice, your power, your party. So, without further ado, I will introduce you to the man of the hour. But before I do, it is an honour and a privilege to be here standing in front of you. As you all know, this has all been collected within a short period of time. And the efforts are enormous. So, I give to you your future Prime Minister. Billy Te Kahika.
Well, you're all different than what I see at the end of my phone, so not prettier. Welcome. Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te nākau o nā tangata, ko te mea nui, ko te awa ai great. Ko te ui ki te atua me whakapuroria tono inga wā ka atua. Kia tau mai te manakitanga ki runga i te kimi a ihi karai ti pai mai re ki ai me tono whai me te whakoti. Nō reira, e whānei, e manuhi ngā hongi whai. Nau mai, hara mai, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tata katoa. That's the short version. Well, nobody could be more surprised to be me to be standing here tonight. I'm a local. I try and keep that on the J-Lo for obvious reasons. But I am a local. I've been up here for 5 years. My wife's from up here. Our children are whakapapa up here. So I really am, when I say that I'm you, I really am part of you. In fact, I keep on saying to people, and people keep on wanting to slap me, I keep on saying, there's really nothing that special about me. The only thing that I have done is take a stance in the public to put out there what we've all been thinking and say it, when people have not been prepared to do that and stand up for us in Parliament. We've all been watching what's been going on since Jacinda Ardren took power, as not only as the leader of the Labour government, but the leader of the coalition government currently within the New Zealand House of Representatives in Parliament. What we have seen and endured over the last few weeks is unprecedented. I knew it was coming down the pipeline. I've been studying geopolitics for years. As many of you know, I'm a Christian as well, so I've been studying that. And I've known this was coming, but to see it roll out, finally, in this manner, was certainly unprecedented. But tonight, I want to announce to you that hope has arrived in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Tonight I'm announcing to you that we are going to fight to get our country back. For all of us, regardless of race, regardless of religion, creed, persuasion, doesn't matter. For all of us. This is Aotearoa, New Zealand, land of the long white cloud. And what that means to me, it's a long white cloud that can fit us all in, regardless. We can take care of our land, we can take care of our sovereignty, we can make room for others if they choose to live here and come and support us, integrate, share what they've got, and love us just as much as we should love them. But New Zealand has just endured the greatest disaster to ever hit our shores. More disastrous than any earthquake, than any tsunami or tornado. We have endured this Labour government under the communist leadership of the globalist Jacinda Ardren. I didn't like John Key, didn't like anything about him. I didn't. And I was equally as upset about him when I saw him trying to sell our business sovereignty through the TPPA. And I was very fortunate fortunate enough to spend some time with Dr. Jane Kelsey and spend an afternoon with her talking about the TPPA and what the impacts of that were really from a professor's point of view. But this is next level. This is completely next level. I always expect the national or the right to be pushing an agenda that would take control of business. I kind of always expected at some point the totalitarianism on the left would rear its head, but this is completely unprecedented. This threat that this government represents to all people in New Zealand, this threat that this government represents to us all in New Zealand is greater than any of the world wars that we've faced. Because this is a war inside our boundaries, inside our communities, but most importantly, inside the government that is meant to be serving the people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. I've spoken to soldiers. Most of you would have seen my post and know that I'm ex-military. And I did just under 2 years. I joined as an old man of 28. All my peers were 18, 19, 20. And the recruiter who said he was a mate of mine, instead of recruiting me as an officer cadet, he made me a private. And then the army told me a year and a half, I think we just recruited you. But I've got over that. But I've spoken to soldiers, ex-SAS soldiers that ring me from overseas, current or just immediately recent members of the One New Zealand SAS group, who's saying they're very concerned. They're very concerned. So they're seeing it from the military, and we'll talk about that shortly. The COVID-19 hoax that we have just endured and is still not over with has been based on the proven faulty information from the Imperial College of London. This faulty, incorrect and criminal data was exposed by the as you call him, the con man, Dr. Andy Ferguson of the Imperial College of London. This is a man that has been proven time and time again to put out these projections of mass disease and death, and this is what is going to happen, and it's going to happen like this. Tens of millions and millions of people are going to die if we don't do this. And each time he's been proven wrong, he did it again with the COVID-19 hoax. Now, I'm not saying that this COVID-19 virus doesn't exist. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying all the control measures and the lockdowns and the loss of freedoms, that's the scandemic. So Dr. Andy Ferguson has been discredited with his information that he fed to the WHO, who swallowed it, no doubt in partnership. And then, of course, that information gets wholly adopted by the New Zealand government, by Jacinda Ardren, and the unelected decider of your future, Dr. Ashley Bloomfield. An unelected doctor. You got an itchy eye? You go see him. Decide on your future and economy and your lives of your children in the future. Don't go see Dr. Ashley Bloomfield. He wasn't elected to do that, and they put him there. Why? Because he's also a scapegoat, because the government is standing behind a medical professional and saying, it's not us, it's the Director General of Health. And that's another indicator of extreme dishonesty within this government. So what has happened? This government has then imposed lockdowns without the scientific data to base anything on it, and didn't even have the legal framework on which to impose the lockdown and arrest people for breaching the social distancing rules. I've spoken to policemen friends of mine who said that they went out, these are career policemen, 20 years plus, that have said they have gone out and they've just driven along and driving along, going on directed patrolling, going, what people are on hands walking down the road? Because they know it's not right, and they knew right at the beginning there was no legal framework to justify the arrest and detainment of any individual. But I've since found out that they are behind the scenes, even taking people who are mentally unwell, with mental health issues, and locking them up for 3 months. One of them has just been in touch with me. So this corrupt government, without a legal basis, arrests and detains people. That's the first step, and that was the alert level 4 status. But that was just the beginning. This pandemic has been the very cause that global leaders, just like Jacinda Ardern, needed to usher in the United Nations Agendas 21 and 30. How many of you here, and I keep a lot of hands, know about Agendas 21 and 30? Congratulations. You are ahead of a lot of New Zealand. These agendas are the greatest challenges on a global level that threaten the personal liberties and the freedoms of all human beings. Why? Because they force every human into a funnel of control of every aspect necessary for a human to live, but not in peace and certainly not in freedom. This type of loss of freedom, this type of control will cause untold misery for all living generations that understand the freedom of being able to go fishing, of being able to grow our own lettuces, our tomatoes. I go down to Parto on North Beach, big giant cup, like, yeah, back home, pull up the fresh lettuce and the potatoes, make my fries, and that's how I like to live. But that's gone under Agenda 30. It's controlled, it's regulated. If you're able to get seeds and grow, they'll be GMO seeds. If you're involved in alternative in health, then there's a sub-program called Codex Alimentarius. Who knows about that? Yeah. Okay, not best, but impressive. Normally I don't get anyone putting their hand up. So Codex Alimentarius will regulate everything about GMO labelling. It will also regulate everything that is involved in your food, your alternative health, the big pharma world, but it's regulated by a bunch of unelected officials that choose to put themselves in these positions. But the issue that we're talking about is that if they bring this in, this is going to affect the future generations. How? Because what will happen is we will die off, and it's going to happen. We will die off, and the kids coming up will never know what they've lost. And that's the plan. You get it? Yeah. That's the plan. They will never know what it's like to be free, to run down barefoot down Mission Bay or wherever they're going to do their thing. Why? Because they'll be living in a technocratic society where everything is regulated down. And the ultimate agenda of agendas 21 and 30 is to take us all from these beautiful provincial and regional areas where we live and force us into high-density urban centres. But what they're doing about it in New Zealand is that this is the insidious thing about the UN agendas, is that they don't need to go through a central government framework to be implemented. They go through the back door and all your local councils. So those of you that know Cheryl Mai, get on the blower and give her grief. There's no doubt she doesn't even know it exists. All right? Jacinda Ardren is a globalist. She has used this crisis to bring in a long-winded, unnecessary lockdown that has completely destroyed lives, businesses, caused suicides. What about that poor young butcher in Pukekohe himself? To find out the day after, he didn't need to do that. He was an essential service. Yeah. Disastrous. Undiagnosed cancers, heart disease, domestic violence, and financial ruin for many ordinary New Zealanders, especially those of us that are involved in small, medium enterprise businesses, SMEs. But the second most alarming impact has been the planned systematic destruction of our freedoms through the unscrutinised, democracy-evading, stealthily introduced COVID-19 health response bill. Right. That's number one. That's number one that they brought in. So, taking a step back, so they start arresting people without any legal framework. Crown Law, which is really the government's legal team, says you can't do this. Here's that advice. So what did Jacinda and what did the Attorney General do? They put a gag on the information being let out because it condemned them, that they had no basis for it. So what did they do? They intend to draft up a new COVID-19 health response bill, tell nobody about it, give the briefing documents on the day of the reading before any of the opposition MPs had a chance to read it, and then push it through under urgency. But how can they do that if Parliament is shut? How can they do that? How can they do this? It's because Jacinda and her team, and in fact, even a national government, they know there's no constitutional protection in the government system for any of us. Forget talking about the treaty, forget talking about Whakaputanga independence, forget about anything.
Thank you, Bill.
Because if they destroy our freedoms, they're going to do it because there's no constitutional protection for us, and we need to know that and get us in there, the New Zealand Public Party and an awesome team of people behind me, and we're going to deconstruct it and we're going to build it back the way it should have been done in the first place. Cool.
There's a lady in Australia that can't hear you, so I've got to get closer.
Okay, sure, and g'day. Welcome from the big big continent in the sea.
And Morocco.
And Morocco. Bonjour. Speak French too. So the next thing that we have to endure, of course, is the Internet Censorship Bill introduced by the Minister Tracy Martin of New Zealand First. Again, the ghost of Winston Peters is haunting us. The selfishness of the man astounds me. And it's filtered down into his MPs. And Tracy Martin, in league with the agenda of Labour, has introduced a bill that will censor anything that they consider and define as objectionable. That could be, I don't like you, Jacinda, and I post it, and they say, well, sorry, Billy, that's your first warning. I put another one up, I really don't like Jacinda. Well, Billy, that's your second warning, and we're going to restrict the broadcast reach of your post. And then I say, no, I really am sure I really don't like Jacinda. And that's the third strike, you're out. They turn up, they arrest you, and they can fine you up to $200,000. And they did it again. They rushed it in quickly. They did it again. But it doesn't stop there. There's another new 15 bills going before Parliament. 15 of them.
Wow.
I don't know if you've seen my post, but I've got them all labelled out. All 15 of them. But the one that concerns me the most is that she's tinkering with the New Zealand Bill of Rights. So I don't know if we all go, yep, we have a sense of what the New Zealand Bill of Rights is. But what it truly is, even in its imperfect state that it's in now, it's still the mechanism that a government is meant to lawfully govern its people. So within a framework that's based on common law, the Magna Carta, all those neat historic documents, this is the New Zealand Bill of Rights, the New Zealand version of that. That was decided upon many moons ago, that the government had limited powers, and when it did enforce those powers, this is how they did it, to protect the citizens of this country. So what have they done now? We don't know. It's up for amendment. But what does that mean? Does anyone know? I don't either. I don't know. That's right. That's right, exactly. So let's unpack this. They can come into your house without a warrant, arrest you and your babies, and take you away and force a medical procedure on you. They can then censor what you write on in any digital communications platform and arrest you and fine you up to $200,000. Now they've got 15 new bills that they want to rush in 17 hours of consultation. But within that sits the heart of the country's rights and freedoms, which is the New Zealand Bill of Rights, and they're going to destroy that if they get their way. But where are all the MPs in the House?
Yeah.
Where are they? Where are the Māori MPs that are Te Whare Aotearoa? Kahika, where are they? Where are you, Bendy Hinari, my bro? Where are you, Matua Shane, the people that the person I look up to? Where are you guys that talk about mana mutahaki Māori and staunch mana Māori, this and that? Where are you guys now? Because this very thing that we're talking about will destroy our indigenous tangata whenua people of this country. This is the thing. Forget anything else. This will be this type of behaviour here, and what they want to bring down if they fully implement these things here in Agenda 30. This is the thing that will be part of the death of our culture. That we all love. Māori culture is for everyone. It's not just for me with my total Māori blood, my Māori blood. It's for all of us. We all love to. You see Chinese kids doing a haka, Indian kids doing a haka, singing the songs. It's for all of us, is it not? Yeah. It is. We all love it. We're all proud of it. In the army, we get called. We're part of the tribe Ngāti Tūmatoinga, which is the god of war. We're all part of that tribe, and we all look after each other. And we all do hakas, and we try and shoot each other with 10 guns, but they're really real. And so Māori culture is for all of us, and can be celebrated as one nation of many different races. But these things here will destroy that, but it won't only destroy our culture as Māori, it will destroy all Kiwiana culture that we hold dearly. All of us. Many of you know that I have a Māori tino rangatiratanga father. He's been involved in the Whangarei and sovereignty movement forever. So I grew up with that. And I've got a beautiful French and Irish mum, and I grew up with that. So one part of my family was staunch listening to the treaty and sovereignty, the other one didn't want to talk about it. So I sat right in the middle, hearing both sides of the argument. So I think I've got a pretty good understanding and view of what's going on with that, and I think I look at it from a pretty good basis. But we are now standing at the very edge of the cliff, and we all must make a decision. The decision has to be made now. Are we going to roll over? Roll over.
Hold it.
Or will we stand and fight for this beloved country, and shall we not allow the few to decide the fate of the many? Yes. I say no. I say that with God as my source of strength, wisdom. I'll fight the fight. Again, doesn't matter what you are, what you guys believe, I'll fight the fight for you. And there's a whole bunch of people behind me that are lining up, from Stewart Island to Kaitaia to the Chathams to Waiheke Island to the west coast of New Zealand. They are lining up behind me to push my party 3 days old. 4 days old. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, here's my little thing here. So we've already been talking about the Labour government, what they're trying to do to us. So it's pretty clear that what they're trying to do to us is what Jacinda's trying to do to us, what her puppeteers overseas are trying to do to us, is homogenise New Zealand and strip us all of our sovereignty. Period. Okay? There's no decision making. What they want is to collapse this economy down, collapse the middle class completely. All of us that support people that are less economically advantaged than us, all that will go because they want to drop everyone down and make us all slaves and indebted and relying on this government. And that's why the $7,000 that we all got, and I got it as well, has a poisonous taste to it. Because what it does is it demotivates people to do anything, right? And we get used to this free money, so what do we think? Oh yeah, we're just going to relax, and we're going to get another $7,000, and now they announced last week, guess what? We got more money for you, but guess what? Where is that money coming from? Where is that money coming from? So the overall plan is that they will create such a debt with international financiers that we'll become serfs in our own fair land. And one of the examples that I refer to in my scholastic search and research on geopolitics is the very famous Bolivian water crisis and revolution of the 90s, whereby what happened was Bolivia was in peril for money, so they go into debt with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and that was in partnership with the World Bank. They got in such debt they couldn't repay it, so what did they do? They ended up doing a deal with the IMF and World Bank to sell their water rights to a private company. This company comes into Bolivia, takes over the infrastructure and starts selling the water back to the people who eventually couldn't afford to it. And these poor people in Bolivia who live on next to nothing anyway couldn't afford to drink their own water. So what happened was, when people couldn't take any more, they turned to bloodshed. They turned to revolution, and they got the government to listen to them. But 800 people were wounded and about 40 were killed. We don't want that here. We don't need to go here. But we do need to fight. And if we take this fight to the government and do it through the right system that we have to work with for now, then we can change things from within the belly of the beast. So we've talked about these things here. I'm kind of a little bit behind in my slide. But what is the answer? It's this, guys. New Zealand Public Party. 4 days old. And when I say that it's your voice, you give us a voice to say. We go and say them. You give us the power and the mandate. We go and do the job. And then what happens is this party becomes your party. Period. I say it again, I'm the most surprised out of anyone to be here. I don't want to go into politics. Had no interest in it. I've got a beautiful life where I live with my beautiful wife and children. We live as quietly as we can. We homeschool our babies. We grow as much as we can. And then when I go to mahi, when I go to work, go overseas, try and earn as much money, and I come back home and we do it all again. That's the sort of life that I wanted to live. But I made the greatest mistake 6 weeks ago on a Sunday afternoon when I didn't have much to do, and I did a broadcast on Facebook. And there it all began. I'm pleased to report that my wife and I have reached a very uneasy truce. I don't talk about it, she doesn't ask. That's democracy. So what do we stand for? Number one, democracy, government integrity, and public safety. That's our number one, top of the pyramid. Very, very simple. If you haven't been to our website, go and see everything that's I haven't got this wrong on my broadcast yesterday. I got the wrong website address, but that's www.nzpp.org.nz. All right. So you go and check it out. What we stand for. But this is here. This is it here. This is it here. Democracy, government integrity, public safety. But what that also means, though, guys, is that we need to get in and find out what they've done to us. Because you can't have transparency when you're looking through a murky glass. You can't. So we need to get in there. I've got the most expert of people right now really looking at the constitutional stuff. My brain is exploding. It was already exploding with stuff that's in it anyway. It just got like someone sat me down and put this helmet on me and said, take this. Right? And I'm learning all about these things very, very quickly. Okay, we need economic and fiscal expertise. We need real people, real businessmen that have done stuff. We don't need another career politician. We don't need a career bureaucrat making decisions for your business.
Yes. Yes.
Environmental sovereignty. If we can't live on a land, on a whenua that's not poisoned, we're not going to live long. Get rid of 1080.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Isn't that just the most obvious thing?
Yes.
Isn't it? But why are they doing that? Why are they poisoning the food chain? Why are they doing that? I'll tell you why. Because if you can't afford to buy it, and if you don't do what you're told, you can't go and hunt it or grow it because your soil's poisoned. So you're going to go back to the government and they enslave you. That's exactly what's happening here, guys. Don't be naive about it. But environmental sovereignty, finding out what else they've done to our waterways and what they've done to destroy the health of our beautiful land. Treaty of Waitangi, deconstructing the kōrero, the talk around it, because one of the things that ticks me off here, and I'll be straight up about it, is that the tokenism around it, the misunderstanding about it, also the selfish application of it by Māori leadership to suit their own causes. It's the thing that despises the most when I know that iwi leaders drive around in their $200,000 cars and their $200,000 salaries in their back pocket, and they drive past Huntley school kids that eat dinner and eat Weet-Bix with it. Shameful. So we're going to talk about reconstructing that with all our whānau. Transparency and public accountability, again, deconstructing all these smoke and mirror type situations that we have. And I'm learning about this every day, guys, and it's worse than what you think. Religious freedom, yes, because that is a God-given inherent right for all of us. I don't care if you think Mickey Mouse is God. Well, I do, because I'm Christian and I know the truth. But you have the right, just as I do, to believe whatever I want to believe. You've got the right to believe what you want to believe. And I'll fight for you to make sure that you can believe that Mickey Mouse is your guide. That's right. Absolutely. Real public health. Who the heck is Dr. Lance O'Sullivan to tell us that we need to
Yes, thank you.
Who is he? Is he part of a global culture of uneducated doctors that swallow the rhetoric from the CDC in the US and say, it's okay, it's fine, it's all good, it's going to protect you. But by the way, we're going to put dead fetus body tissue in your baby. By the way, we're going to put thimerosal. Oh, by the way, that's the code word for mercury. We're going to put formaldehyde. We're going to put, it just goes on, insects, pig, you name it. It's the complete disaster, and they want to put it in your baby. That's what we're dealing with. Let alone the vaccination program that they've got for you if they stay in government the way they are in 6 months' time when we get a Bill Gates solution to the COVID-19 crisis. So we need to make sure that public health is real public health. Look, if you do need an injection or you do need a pill, okay, to buy it. That's fine, have it. But if you want to be able to go and use natural solutions and try that avenue, do it and be free to do it and try it. Referenda and consultative processing and processes. What this is about is thanks to my good friends at Direct Democracy, we looked at, they taught me about the Swiss system of government, where what they do there is that for all the big things they go into referenda situations. I think that needs to be massaged. I don't understand enough yet, but it sounded pretty cool to me. So I'm throwing it up there as saying that's a point that we want to work through. This point in this tier, the last one, monetary reform, because if we don't fix this corrupt monetary system, we'll always be enslaved. These last things here, defence, international relationships, this is really foreign affairs stuff. Trade, protection of our national independence, they're all intrinsically wrapped together. So what sort of job is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade? Oh, that's Winston Peters, the same guy who's gone into coalition with this corrupt government. So these bottom tier issues down here, they're very, very important to us because we need to do business with the world, but we do not have to give our sovereignty away to do the business. You know why? Because that's what we've got. Yeah, all of them. But we don't need to give it away. We don't need to give our freedoms away, and we don't need to give them the whole shebang. Because, you know, as one of my colleagues at the back there knows, we've worked with international traders, and they fall over themselves to try and buy what they want off us. And let's do a deal. Let's do, we'll take it all. Blah blah blah. We don't have to give it all away. We need to increase our productivity sectors, no doubt, because it's not the money that's in this country right now that's going to keep us alive. That's going to end up killing us. Because why? Because when the same money goes round and round and round, inflation occurs. Because it's the same dollar, and then what do? They do quantitative easing or monetizing any debt. They print more money, and then your dollar that was worth that much becomes that much. Same looking dollar, but just worth half as much. So we need to be protective of those things. But the national independence is really the big one. All of these. That's why I did a pyramid like that. No conspiracy with the pyramid. The national independence thing really sits with the very top pillar, but it provides the foundation. Because if we can't guarantee that, we're going to end up slaves and serfs on our own country, and we don't want that, do we? No. We want to know that if we close our eyes not to wake up again, that our babies and our babies' babies are going to have wonderful, safe lives where they're not going to be hauled out of their homes at any time and have a blooming needle poked into them because their mum said no and the government says yes. We don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. Well, I can't say this very often, but I've ran out of things to say. But please know that I am you and you are me. Those of you that would have seen my declaration last week about who I am, just go and watch it again. It's all the other canvas that again tonight. But what you see is what you get. And I'm not a secret agent for the UN. So I must begin today. And I've learned about what trolls are for the first time over the last couple of weeks. I didn't know what they were. I thought they were those little cute things that were but they are serious. They are serious. We had a lady today that I went blocked because she didn't look right. And she asked me if I was a UN stooge last week because of my photo with Helen Clark on my Facebook page. But do you notice something? Yeah, you know what? I was going to take it off, but I thought, no, I'm not. Because me and the other Maoris that were there at the UNDP in New York were trying to get money to give other Maoris back here. That's what we were doing there. We weren't there as part of the UN whānau or doing their nonsense. We were there trying to scam some money. That's the reality of it. And I said that to the lady last week, and she went out again on Facebook saying today that I'm a UN stooge. Give me a break.
Block her.
I did. She's gone through it. But one of the last things I just want to say in my closing address, there's really nothing too special about me. There really, really isn't. I'm the same as you guys, and that's what makes us so special. And as New Zealanders, as Kiwis, is that we just are. We just, this is. I have to do this because if I didn't, I could look myself in the eye and feel good about myself.
Thank you.
There's no way I could, you know. So please, guys, if you haven't already, if you could please go onto our website and sign up. We can't through that site take any money. So what we're doing is it's a free membership sign up. But as soon as we register, we'll send you an invoice. $15 probably cost us 10 minutes here. But you know what I mean. We need your support. We really do. And what's happening is other party members are coming over in droves to us. We reached out. We went live with our website for sign on Sunday. And within 30 seconds, the first people were signing up, and we hit our 500 registration catchment today.
Wow.
But it can't stop there, because my gut feeling is, in my heart of hearts, I think we're going to thrash the 5%. But I need your help. I need your help. I need you to stay on this, stay calm, brief people, even the ones who go, oh, you're a nutter. You know, because I get that a lot from my whānau. But what happened to me today is a bit of intel for you, a bit of whānau's gossip. One of my uncles who's very conservative, Pākehā man, really neat man, finally sat me down today via Zoom, and he'd been on the website looking at all the stuff, and he was like, this is really real, isn't it? I went, yeah, it is. It's certainly real. And he signed up.
Yeah.
But spread the message that this is your party that's going to do it. We're not like any other party. We didn't start out with an ideal, or we're not ideological. We are a response. It is a public movement. You can't describe it as anything else. I've been trying to not call it politics, and someone said just call it leadership. And if you think if that's my job to do this for you, then I'm prepared to do that. But we need you guys to really get out there, spread the word, get everyone signed up to our party. If you know people that belong to other parties, encourage them to either join us or vote for us. Because what's happening is, and the big parties know it, is that the more that they can divide people by race, you know, this all Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. All lives matter. What's this nonsense about Black Lives Matter only? We all matter. We all take care of each other. And that's another thing I believe that they're doing as well, to keep us all divided, so we don't think together as one block. They're going to say, you're a Māori, you're a Pākehā, you're a Chinaman, whatever, Indian, you don't like each other, so let's create some friction. And that's what's happening in the US. That's exactly what's happening, and that's what they're trying to do here. Can you believe it? I just found out the other day there's an Antifa movement here.
What's that?
Wow.
Yeah, Antifa, which is kind of like revolutionists, troublemakers, whatever you want to call it. But we're not like that in our country. We have our problems. We have our problems, whānau, but they're our problems. Let's not use international people use those problems against us to destroy our big family here. So just in finishing, thank you for coming out. Before you move, can I take a photo of you guys? But I am certainly humbled. Please don't leave straight after I finish, because I'd like to meet you all and have a cup of tea. And I'd really like to thank Alan Grant and also the people that run the Whangarei Cruising Club for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you, guys. I want to thank this young man, KJ Stiles, my executive assistant. All right.
Look lively, everyone. Anyone else want a photo? Perfect. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please join us for a cup of tea. Don't go hurrying off. Love to meet you and find out where all the secret fishing spots are. And I don't know. Kia ora tātou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā no tātou katoa.